All right, today we are talking about winter. Obviously the season is in full swing, and while I have always spent every year getting out in the weather no matter what the season is, this season I have put in a concerted effort to spend a lot more time training and existing in winter environments. Now that's culminated so far in the past 3 months of spending at least one day on my weekend out training some form of battle drill or multi-skill competition or training. Now that can either be rucking, individual battle drills by myself or with others, or doing a competition with myself or others. A big test of this that was kind of the culmination of the goals I was going for was competing in the Wolverine 5K for their first winter skirmish. This ended up being about 12 hours out in an 8-degree day. Second half of the day it really started snowing on us, but it brought the temp up a degree or two. Overall, the competition has 16 land navigation points and 9 shooting stages. For my team, this looked like it was about a 4.5 mile as the crow flies land navigation challenge, collecting a multitude of points. And that ended up being in about 1 foot to 2 feet of snow in the thicker forest where the snow clung to the trees. The snow wasn't as thick. Honestly though, there were a couple of trails, and cutting the snow was easier because of the depth of the snow. The snowmobile trails or trails already cut by people ended up just being like walking in sand. It was pretty miserable, but an extremely good time. I highly recommend everyone do one of these larger kind of region-wide multi-skill comps. It is a great test and a really good time. Now, what I'm mainly talking about today are the little tips, tricks, and as everyone always loves, gear that I've found has helped put a little bit of input that has a maximum output in the winter season. Now, the first and foremost piece of that is the infamous mesh shirt. Now, I didn't want to buy one of those fancy $60 European ones. This one that I found is the Nepis brand. It was about $15 or $20 on Amazon. And if you don't want to go with this brand, I would highly recommend searching for cycling mesh shirts. That kind of gets you around the normal search of mesh shirts, which is
Non-GE Code Game and Section #1 Fisher made real from old fishnet.
I don't know about you, I don't want that on my search or purchase history, and I sure as shit trust that plastic quality way less than this. Now, I will say about this shirt, it is absolutely worth the hype. Now, a lot of people talk about its warming capabilities. The biggest thing that I have found the benefit of this being is its cooling capabilities, especially when you are doing intense movement or have a lot of weight on you in cold temperatures. I'm sure as everyone who's done that knows, the worst part about the cold is that hot, icy, cold, wet feeling in your pits or your back when you're running around or carrying a lot of weight. This does a huge amount of work to basically lift that sweat off and transfer it into your next layer. I even had it to the point to where this was somewhat wet but didn't feel wet. I would just pop off that long sleeve, throw another one on, throw my jacket back on, and I was ready to go, and it was just still transferring that out. Now, it doesn't get rid of 100% of everything, but as far as comfort is concerned, I cannot recommend this enough. Honestly, I really look forward to using it in the summer to see if it can keep the sweat off me, because I do sweat quite a bit. Now, the next piece, it's 2 pieces. Now, the biggest thing that I found as far as my gear and myself is concerned is just keeping the snow from getting into sensitive or important areas. One of those being your optics. I created this out of a waterproof Cordura with double line thickness and stitching to give it some rigidity. I don't like the scope ring caps, because this is 2 separate pieces, but these tiny little things, I mean, they don't stay on, they don't actually really protect it totally, and the second that you take them off, they are gone. Like, good luck finding that. And taking them off is a bitch. This I developed specifically for hunting when I would just be sitting there and have like 4 inches of snow fall on me in a few hours sit. What I like about this is that I use shock cord to spring it off. You just go boom, now you're ready to use it. If snow does get in your optics or everywhere in your rifle, which it does often, as I'm sure some people here know, the second that you touch that with your warm or wet hands, you are fucking up your vision through those optics, and you are just gonna melt snow to get water all over everything. A 75-cent little brush takes care of all of that. You just push the snow right out of any nook, crack, or crevice, and you are absolutely good to go. This is one of the top things that I have handed out to tons of people at every competition when their shit gets fucked, and I say, yes, spend 75 cents, don't have to deal with this anymore. To piggyback onto that, I have attempted this on optics, but the big part is in the iPro itself. It'll be a problem when the gun gets warm and the air is extremely cold, but I have the biggest problem with iPro. I always carry, or I found carrying a couple of different ones. Obviously, a sunglass one is good to keep, even if you're just gonna have, whoa, one of each of these. Having multiple is nice, not just when you're shooting, but just to keep the snow out of your eyes so you can actually see when you're walking around rucking around. Now, I have been trying a couple of different methods where I'm keeping one of them out in the cold and one of them in here. Dude, everything always gets fucked. What I've been trying to do to counter that as well is the legendary cat crap and then just anti-fog lens wipes. While cat crap has given me extremely good results in the hot, humid summer, I'm having an issue using it not so much on the iPro, but when I place it on the optics itself, the gun gets very hot. I guess on these as well, that film that it leaves seems to still be fogging up when we're down in like the single digits or negatives, and I'm having a lot more luck with these anti-fog lens wipes, honestly. Now, the next piece, these are two pieces of kit that have really helped me, especially in rucking and moving weight, or when you're running around in kit. There's a lot of different, I just keep this in the car just in case. But number one of those, everyone should have multiple pairs of gloves. You should have a pair of overmitts. I have multiple different pairs of overmitts if I'm just static or sitting there, or my hands are too cold, or it's in the negatives. Throw a hot hands or something in here. These you can stuff into the side of your bibs, into your pockets. But this is the big piece that I learned from a guy who was kind of like an old mountain man dude when I was living in the northern Cascade Mountains. We would backpack quite a bit, and some people had lost their gloves, but he always did this trick here where he looped just a piece of paracord, or in his case he had leather, and he would set it so that it would sit pretty much perfectly sitting into his bibs, jacket, or whatever an underlayer is. And then he would tie a clove hitch knot here so that as soon as you had to use it, you just slide your hands into it and push your arms away from your body. And then the length that I have here is pretty much the length of the max of my arms. And then you can shove it into your pockets, down low, whatever you may need to do. I have a couple of different pairs of these. I like having one that is super warm. Usually for the cheaper price, you can get a really warm one that isn't waterproof, or you can get a waterproof one that isn't really warm. I bring them out depending on what the weather's gonna be. And then the next piece of shell that I really like, oh dude, the Ancient. I've had this for like 12 years. This guy's still going. Oh, it needs more. Is gaiters. Whoa. I want to ruin the illusion of the camera. These are the DPM gaiters. I got them from some surplus site that like said it was American surplus, but then they came from New Zealand. Anyway, these were $17. It's whatever their version of Gore-Tex is. I love these, not just because when you place them on, you're in heavy snow, like you can just send it. You don't have to think about still getting your boots up your pants, wetting the bottom of your pants, even if you're moving through like some small icy part. Like, it's just great. But the biggest part for me, I'm a tall guy. Knees up, I'm a furnace, dude. I'm a swamp ass factory. Knees down, it's toothpicks getting cut apart and shredded by the wind. This allows me to not have to wear any type of layering long johns. I can just wear my bibs or my pants. My legs can keep themselves hot while my lower legs are warm, and I just don't have to worry about it. Again, just trying to keep the snow out of the cracks there. And the final piece that I have for you guys is something I've made some videos about. I'll probably
my leg!
Is this guy right here. Butt pad. I made this one myself just with some mattress and then hard foam padding here. Obviously I had a lot of things lying around, and you know, you can get like a $15 one of these. It's pretty ugly for hunting. I attach this to the belt on my belt kit. I'm sure you can attach it to a backpack, a separate belt shooting, whatever the fuck you want. But having this thing has been absolutely wonderful. Not just for hunting, not just when you're sitting, but especially at competitions or when you're doing land navigation and you're in 1 foot to 2 foot of snow. You're moving under a time constraint. Being able to sit down, get your clipboard out, get your map on top of it, checking your plot points, or because you got pushed off, like if there's OPFOR in the forest and they push you 200 yards over there, being able to plot your new point to be able to figure out what your azimuth is for your next direction of travel is absolutely huge. It's just a little bit of comfort. That about sums it up for everything that I have. These are, again, you know, it's not rocket science. Just go out, get used to being out, get a couple of small things that hit certain points that are really small input that yield you a lot of output. Well, yeah, that's everything.
Patrolling the nuclear winter almost makes you wish for the Mojave.